Zara in the United Kingdom. Some cultural factors. Language is mostly English. 30% in Scotland speak Scot. 20% in Wales speak Welsh. And in Northern Ireland, 10% speak Irish. Half-stage six-dimensional model explains how they're comfortable in ambiguous situations. They have a high level of creativity and strong-headed for innovation. Have a high degree of importance on leisure time. They misinterpret direct speech as rudeness, aggression, and arrogance. It's not appreciated to self promote in a work environment. Nonverbal communication, it's courtesy to bring a gift when going to someone's house. And in social situations, they greet each other with a kiss on both sides of the cheek. And in a work situation, they would greet with a handshake. Some demographic characteristics, their population size is 57.5 million. Is projected to hit 58.6 million by 2025. Ethnicity distribution, most of them are white and with just a few minorities. The population density, most of the people are in England, followed by Wales, Northern Ireland, and last Scotland. The age structure model shows that the population's decreasing because most of the people are in their 40s. The average household size in 2011 in England was 2.36 people, and in Wales was 2.31. It has remained stable over 3 decades. Education, the literacy rates is 99% with the percent age 15 and above. Some geographic characteristics, topography, valleys, lakes, forests, and mountains. The climate is temperate with warm, wet summers and cool, wet winters. Weather varies from day to day and throughout the country as a whole. In general, the west coast and mountains areas receive the most rain.
For economic characteristics, the GNI, or the gross national income per capita in 2014, was 38,370. The household income or consumption by percentage share in 2012 was the lowest 10% had 1.7% and the highest 10% had 31.1%. The chart to the left shows the change in real household from 2007 and 2008 to 2014 and 2015 by percentile point. As you can see, the average inflation goes down as the percentile increases, and the differential inflation is pretty steady throughout. The social grade classification system is shown to the right. The highest is supervisory, clerical, and junior managerial. So overall, it seems like the classification social grade shows that England is pretty well off. For the political legal characteristics, the government is headed by the Prime Minister, who is David Cameron. He is responsible for all policies. Under him is the cabinet made up of the senior members. They meet weekly to discuss issues that are going on in England. And after that, it's the House of Commons and the House of Lords, and they are responsible for making the laws and discussing what goes on there. Currently, the state is overall a low risk state. The Prime Minister is set to meet with France's president to discuss cooperation on counterterrorism against Islamic State in Syria and Iraq following the Paris attacks. For advertising, there are regulations. Specifically, they are aimed to promote accurate and honest practices. For example, there's consumer protection from unfair trading regulations, business protection from misleading marketing regulations. Basically, you can't make misleading comparison with competitors, and you should regulate advertising directed at kids. This is enforced by Advertising Standards Authority. The key regulation of direct marketing is you must have the customer's permission. If you don't have the customer's permission, it is illegal to send anything their way.
Now, let's talk about Zara's identity. Zara is one of the largest international fashion companies, owned by parent company Inditex, one of the world's largest distribution groups. Founded in 1974, Zara has 2,000 stores worldwide and ranks number 58 on Forbes' world's most valuable brands at $9.4 billion. Known for its process innovation, Zara has a quick turnover for developing a new product and getting it to the market within just 2 weeks versus the industrial standard of 6 months. This means it takes only 2 weeks for the design to walk off the catwalk and into retail stores. Zara provides luxury products in the latest fashions at less expensive prices than designer brands. Modeled after seasonal and fast fashion designs, Zara's business model attracts fashion chasers. Through feedback from large sample groups across different cultures, Zara's clothing reflects customers' fashion desires and demands. Low inventories, what one may view as a weakness, serves as one of Zara's greatest strengths. Stores receive new clothes 2 times a week in small batches. This way, Zara is able to control most of its supply chain, allowing Zara to put out a new product and take advantage of the trend while it's relevant to fashion taste, all while designing the next fast fashion forward product. Starting as early as 1995, Zara created its environmentally friendly policy focused on creating eco-friendly stores and using ecological fabrics. The design of Zara stores, lighting, heating, and cooling systems contributes to reducing energy by 20%. Zara's use of ecological fabrics and organic cotton supports organic farming and boycotts the use of pesticides, bleach, and chemicals. Zara also transports all their products from factory to store using 5% biodiesel fuel, reducing CO2 emissions by 500 tons. Zara's animal welfare policy protects animals from being treated unethically. Zara refuses to create products that come from animal slaughter or for the purpose of sale of skins, shells, horns, bones, feathers, downs, etc. Zara is part of a fur-free alliance and doesn't sell products with fur.
To start off, the target market is middle to upper class city folks, primarily women, but they also have men and children's clothing available, and these people are generally fashion conscious and have access to some form of education. They position themselves as affordable high market or high fashion, similar to H&M in the market, and their market share and competitor breakdown is in 2014, Zara sold 19.7 billion, and they were right in line with H&M, which sold 20.7 billion, so just slightly more. They're not growing as fast as H&M, and they don't do as much like advertising or marketing as H&M does, which is why they think that H&M is doing slightly better than Zara, but they are growing at a similar pace. And their other competitors are Gap, Uniqlo, Primark, Abercrombie& and Fitch, and Mango, and all of these are different in the way that they brand compare to Zara, and they are also different in the countries they compete with them. Now, looking at their pricing strategy, they, like I said, are affordable high fashion at a price point determined by their location. So, for instance, in England, the clothing is comparable to the pricing at H&M, in line with this idea of affordable high pricing. If you look at the United States, it's significantly more expensive here than it is over in England. Going to the Zara in the Domain, it is significantly more pricey than you would think of as what Zara is compared to in the United Kingdom. And then looking at Mexico, it is significantly less expensive than the affordable high fashion price point. So that's just kind of a breakdown of how their pricing strategy works, and it is slightly different for each country. Looking at place, Zara emphasizes the beauty and historic appeal of locations when they consider where they want to put their stores, because they don't necessarily consider like putting in big shopping malls. They don't think it's as important as like making sure that the store and the image that they portray is in line with the brand as a whole. All of the locations are modeled to look similar. So what you see on your screen is the Zara in the UK, but if you went to the Zara in the Domain, they look very, very similar, and they do that for a reason. They want the staff to be well groomed. They want the showroom to be well lit. They don't put a lot of styles out. They want you to have a lot of room to navigate and kind of decide what it is that you think that you want the best. And they do this all for a reason. Now looking at
product, they focus on fast fashion. So, like we talked about a little bit before, they can get clothes out really, really fast. So, their focus is on the scarcity and exclusivity of their clothing, and that's kind of one of their biggest points of difference. It's their version of current catwalk fashion. So, whatever is popular right now is kind of what they make their version of. And, like we said earlier, it's received as frequently as twice a week. But generally, the timeline would be about 3 weeks for turnover for new items. Looking at promotion, the really interesting thing about Zara is they don't do a lot of advertising at all, really. What they focus on is creating this relationship with their customers that's focused on exclusivity and brand loyalty. So that's a really, really interesting way for them to have grown as fast as they did. And the really cool thing is they do a lot of word of mouth focus. One of the coolest points or parts of the past couple years is when Kate Middleton got married to the prince. The next day, the day after her wedding, she wore a $150 pair of shoes, but her Zara dress was $50, and that's what she wore. And it was a really great way to get people talking about the brand and the products that they have and the accessibility, both like on the high end, obviously, with somebody like Kate Middleton, but also the fact that it was only $50 gives other people that are not obviously the princess access to that as well. And so it's a really interesting way that they have set up room for advertising. And like I said, they create intimate relationships with customers specifically because they are responsive to their needs. They actually only spend 0.3% of their revenue on advertising, and most companies spend at least 2% of their revenue on advertising. So you can kind of see like the disconnect between the popularity of Zara and the lack of advertising that they do. And they focus a lot more on like using their stores as a means for promoting what they've got going on. And finally, with their distribution strategy, this is one of the keys to the company's success. We talked a little bit about this earlier, but their supply chain model allows for a decrease in their transport and inventory costs, which is why some of their products are so affordable. And their centralized distribution centers, which is what you see in this picture, allow for lower lead time for new product development and to get those products out to the stores. And with the decreased transport and inventory cost, coupling those two, you get faster turnover and more designs, and 2 to 3 week period for creating and sending out their new styles via the strategy, which is one of the reasons why they're so wildly successful and considered so responsive to their customers. And then looking finally at their differentiation strategy, their level of responsiveness to consumer needs coupled with their full control over their distribution strategy is one of the reasons that they are considered so different, and kind of like taking all of these different parts of the market, their marketing strategy and what they do to be different. Their focus on creating scarcity within the brand and their products while keeping their customers happy and engaged is what makes Zara so wildly different from anything else that is in the market right now.
As mentioned earlier, Zara spends very little of its revenue on advertising. They actually rely heavily on word-of-mouth marketing, like when celebrities are linked with wearing Zara's latest lines of clothing. However, here are 3 of our favorite ads that do a nice job at promoting 3 different facets of Zara's growing business model. The first ad here is a print ad from 2012, and at the turn of the decade, Zara really tried to hone in on the young male market that was quickly becoming more fashion-centric. Zara's ad here features a young model sporting their new winter line of 2012, and like many of Zara's advertisements, this one is very simple and not laced with many words. Zara leaves interpretation up to the reader, and it's the audience's responsibility to understand that if they want the fashion featured, they must hurry before the line is out of the door, just like our male model here. This second ad is actually a still image from a video ad that was promoting Zara's TRF line, which skews for younger and younger wearers. Zara recognizes that the affordable high fashion industry has started to skew a little bit younger, and it started to include a younger crowd that is very into fashion. So this actual video ad does a great job at showing girls from different cultures having a uniform taste for fashion. This last ad is another print ad piece that serves to promote a summer collection of clothes. However, what is interesting about this ad is Zara's inclusion of leaves on the right-hand side that takes up half of the advertisement. This serves to symbolize Zara's continued dedication to being socially responsible. We believe this ad is trying to encapture Zara's loyalty to having eco-friendly stores, their use of the less harmful biodiesel fuel in transportation, and Zara's continued use of organic cotton in their fashions absolutely regardless of the season. Thank you for your time.